It's Sunday morning. Thanks for joining me here for this edition of the Hokey video blog. Hope everyone's doing all right this morning. Had some slick spots out there on the side streets especially, so if you're heading out and about this morning, maybe to the boat and RV show, be very careful because temperatures overnight got into the teens and into the 20s. That was more than enough to refreeze any of that melted snow that we had yesterday. So if you had slush yesterday, today you may have ice on the roads, especially as we go throughout the morning hours. And that's going to be the same story today. We're going to warm up to around 45 this afternoon, maybe higher in some places, especially depending on how much warm air advection or movement of warm air we get into here. And then that's going to melt some of that snow. It's going to be wet on the roadways. And then once again tonight, it refreezes once we get an Arctic front through here that's going to send us well into the teens. We'll talk about that temperature change here in just a second. But first, let's get you through the current situation that we face across Kentuckiana. You'll see that we have a band of snow up in central Indiana on up into Chicago and into the Lake Michigan area that passed largely to our north. Now, we did have this little band, you'll see it right there, that passed through our northern counties. Problem was, the air was too dry at ground level to get the snow down to where we could see it. So it was evaporating those snowflakes. Didn't get any reports of snowfall in that area. And we've got a little bit of a band of snow trying to develop here from Indianapolis down into portions of southeastern Illinois. Doesn't look like that's going to be really passing through here because the trend has been to pretty much weaken anything that tries to come that far south, like that little spurt of snow right there. So today, snow not going to really be an issue for us here. In fact, it's just going to be warm air moving in, and that's going to be the case as we get through the afternoon with those temperatures getting into the 40s. As we get into late tonight, though, this Arctic front that we just mentioned is going to be moving into our neck of the woods. It's going to start spreading some of these rain showers throughout Kentuckiana. These won't be heavy, but they will be with us as we go throughout the midnight hour and beyond. But then things become interesting because we begin getting the cooler air in here, and that would mean changing over the rain showers to snow showers, and I think that's a pretty good bet. The issue this morning has been two models that we usually use for short-range forecasting have been really downplaying this snow shower threat. Yesterday it was looking more impressive on them, and now, as you see here on the 12-kilometer RPM, the snow showers kind of come to, well, let's just say north of Carroll County and stop. That's probably not going to be the case. I think we're going to see some of these scattered snow showers across Kentuckiana as we go throughout the evening hours. A model that still has this is the high-resolution NAM, and it still has a pretty thin line of snow showers, a couple thin lines actually moving through. And I think one of the issues here is that these will be so small that some of these models can't really pick it up with the resolution that they're at. So we will be having snow showers as we go throughout 3:30, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, just before the morning rush hour. How much snow will it put down? Not a whole lot. We'll show you the accumulation estimate here in just a second. But here comes the cold air. Woo, it's going to be very cold as we go throughout your Monday, your Tuesday, even throughout your Wednesday, especially in the mornings. And we could go below zero by Tuesday morning as this stuff sets in. Here's the NAM that we just talked about. Go throughout 6:30 a.m. on your Monday. It does pick up on snow showers to our north. Nothing really to our south, though, like they're supposed to be, given the setup with the front moving through. And then by 7 a.m., again, this extends all the way west to just north of Carroll County and stops. And you've got some snow showers breaking out in the higher elevations of southeast Kentucky. Well, this is an interesting setup. So I think the deal is that we will have the more finer snow showers. They'll be scattered. We may have some bands in there, and they'll put down just a little bit of snow as we go throughout your very early Monday morning. Here's the NAM's estimate. Again, the NAM isn't picking up very well on this whole setup. Well, there was the NAM's estimate, but you saw there, 0.8 inches in Seymour, about a tenth of an inch elsewhere. I think maybe upwards of a half inch at this point would be expected. And within some of the heavier snow bands, might eke out an inch or so in an area or two. This isn't looking to be a big deal, but because of the timing, that's why we're focusing on it. We want to make sure that folks realize that there is a threat for some snow to be falling during the morning hours of your Monday. And those could be wind-whipped snow totals, too. We could have some blowing of snow, even though it'll be just a little of it as we go throughout your Monday morning. How about temperatures? We talked about Tuesday morning being the target time for the coldest of them, and it looks like the GFS is picking up on that. It's coming in a little warmer than previous runs. Previous runs had us coming in the negatives here along the Ohio River. Now we're at about 2 degrees, which, I mean, when you're splitting hairs between -2 and +2, it's just cold all around. Look at that, -3 in Seymour, Indiana. Woo! Oh my. When we talk about the winds factored in, oh yes, 16 below in Seymour, 11 below in Salem. Pretty much everybody's going to go below 0 when it comes to wind chills. And that's not going to be a surprise. And I think we'll see more wind chill warnings, or watches, I should say, pop up over the coming day or so as we begin to hone in just on how cold these wind chills really will be. I think -15 is going to be a pretty good bet. Some spots punching to -20 in some cases. It's going to be really cold. Good gracious. All right, pattern change comes this week, later this week, as this Pacific Ridge breaks down that gave Canada and Western Canada and Alaska all the warmer temperatures than we've had and gave us the big polar vortex type trough. Of course, the polar vortex stayed in Canada and will stay in Canada even through this next cold snap. It's just we feel the effects of that. So whenever anybody says, hey, the polar vortex is down here in the United States, well, that's not quite true. But because of it moving south, that's why we've been so cold. And the pattern that we face going into the weekend is a challenging one. The Euro and the GFS have been squabbling over this. What's going to transpire precipitation-wise with this? And I think the deal is that we're going to see snow at some point, and maybe a mix of precipitation as we go throughout probably your Thursday and your Friday, even into your Saturday. And then that's going to change to somewhat of a rainier pattern as we go throughout Saturday and Sunday. Now, the deal is this is not set in stone because the models are having such trouble with it. And this is a challenging setup just given the proximity of the cold air to the warmer air that we're going to have. Instead of this big trough moving down into the U.S. and we're squarely in the colder temps and it's all snow, now we're kind of on that battleground that we're used to. And that means, as Brian pointed out yesterday in his Snow Talk video blog, that we could see some higher snow totals as we go throughout the next couple of weeks. Too early to pin all of that down. And of course, Brian will have an update on that as we go throughout tonight as well. Just wanted to give you a heads up that things are changing as we go into the weekend, and they may very well change back as we go into February. Some very interesting meteorological phenomena getting ready to transpire as we head into the month of February. The good news is that'll get rid of some of this below zero blast that we've had lately, at least the spurts of it that we've had. So I think going below zero will be a shot that we have Tuesday morning, and then thereafter doesn't look like a very good bet. So there's a silver lining to all that, right? So we've got the forecast challenges, but the bitterly cold air goes on hiatus, goes back up to Hudson Bay in Canada, leaves us alone for now. We'll see if it returns, and we'll have updates on that through the coming days and weeks to come. Of course, Brian will be in here tonight with your latest forecast on Wave 3 News at 6 and 11, and he'll get you through some of the threats that we may face as we go throughout your Monday morning, especially that commute. Hopefully we can avoid any big problems, but we'll keep you updated. For now, I'm meteorologist Ryan Hoke. Have a great Sunday.